So we're just kind of, you were talking about, and which is the next question I wanted to ask anyway, like what's the main intention behind the Yaya Sisterhood? And it's so much more than just, activity.
Yes.
As you've been describing, it's planting seeds for lifelong tools as a girl growing into a woman. But yeah, can you talk a little bit more about, and let's just summarize it in, if you can, like, a few sentences or paragraphs. What's the main, like the intention behind it? What is it that you're wanting these girls to come away with?
Okay. Mainly so that they can grow up embodied and integrated as confident, believing in themselves, not apologizing for who they are and the magic they have because they're afraid that their light is too bright or whatnot, or someone else's light is too bright. The idea I want everyone to come away from is that everybody's light is bright, and so it should be, and we should be celebrating that.
And different. And that's so evident in every workshop I do, and that's why I love the talking bowl, because their answers are so varied to things. And in a vision board workshop, people are talking about their goals, and one is to be a farmer, and one is to be a dancer, and one is to be a tattoo artist. And when in that environment, and I encourage the girls, even when we make flower crowns, not to compare to the girl across from you or next to you, that hers is better than yours, or she got to the red roses and you didn't get a red rose, because I pass the baskets of flowers around too, so it's an element of you don't just go in and grab what you want. It's that patience of sometimes you don't always get what you want, but you've got to celebrate other people's. That's a massive aspect of the workshops too, is celebrating. So the tagline is seen, heard, held, celebrated, and that's basically what my hope for all of the girls walking away, that they are seen in their light and their beauty and their individuality, that they are heard, their voices and opinions matter, they're held in their vulnerability and as who they are, and they're just celebrated like for exactly who they are. And I love, like, for example, in the vision board, one of the last vision board workshops, a girl who was very vocal about loving her chickens and loving chickens and chickens. Another girl from way on the other side who'd never met her before, in her basket of magazine cuttings, found a chicken and was like, hey, where's the girl that loves chickens? And oh, it's me. And she's run across the circle, here you go, I thought you might want this. And it's like, where else does that happen? Where else does that happen, where they're really encouraged to support one another like that? I remember in primary school, if I had to create a craft or art thing, I would be like, okay, as soon as the teacher says go, I'm going to grab all the purple glittery stuff because that's what I want. I was never encouraged to celebrate other people liking purple glittery things. It's a different mindset. So my real hope is that that they take these lessons and these workshops and whatever and grow into that information, that tool belt that they now have will stay with them, and they'll continue to add to it because they've been imprinted from that age. And so that's really the main. Yeah, great. Thank you. And my order of questions might be a bit sort of like funny, but coming back, and again, you sort of talked a bit about it through the story of how and why you started, but because I feel really out of touch, like, my daughter's just almost 2, I'm 41, so it's a long time since I was an 8 to 12-year-old, and the world has changed so much. And sometimes I think, like, I'm so grateful that I didn't have to grow up and be a girl and then a teenager through these different times and all the different challenges that they face. So from your experience as a mum of, girls that are in that age group, and
running these circles, what do you feel, and maybe, if you want to share in kind of a list kind of form, what are some of the biggest issues that you think are facing girls 8 to 12 at the moment?
Fitting in 100%.
I think that, I can remember that was a thing. That actually changed.
Fitting in, their body, self-image, fitting in friendships, that's a byproduct of fitting in, body positivity, what they feel about their bodies, and what society expects of them to be and become is a challenge. And social media, but I think that too ties in with all of it, the body image, the fitting in, the friendships, the being excluded.
Do you think that social media, because again, it's something I don't have experience with children, is that a new issue that brings a whole bunch of different things, or does it act more as a magnifying glass on the other issues?
I think column A and column B, but I actually think it's added a totally new element. For example, I just think of when I was, my eldest daughter's age, she's about to be 14, and if I had have seen on social media that my girlfriends have gone out to the Esplanade for ice cream, and I was not invited, but I've seen it, and say this girlfriend has written ice creams with my best friends, and I had seen that I was not invited, that would have crushed me as a teen. But as a teen, my friends were going out without me sometimes. I had a lot of family commitments, so I wasn't going to these things that they were going to.
But it wasn't in your face.
But it wasn't in my face. When when we walked out of the school gates, the drama was over. If, Sally from maths said an awful thing about me, it would get spoken about at lunchtime, blah, blah, blah. But when you leave those gates and you get picked up by parents, or you're on the bus and you get home, it's done. You're now doing dinner time, homework, your normal TV. There was no access to people's thoughts, feelings, movements. Whereas now, if Sally from maths says something awful, it gets spread around at lunchtime, when you leave those gates and open up your social media, she could be in your inbox messaging you continually about how she still doesn't like you. You could have your name or photo plastered all over social media, oh, look at Kim, she spilt tomato sauce on her uniform, and it could be there for everyone to see. Then I could see someone that I might like, message or have interactions with Sally online. Even as an adult woman, that stuff still affects me. So I can imagine as a teen. So I think that's the new element that didn't exist before.
And are the girls 8 to 12 they're on the social media?
I would say there are a few, maybe more from the 10 and up, that are on social media. So the Yaya Sisterhood workshops is a phone-free zone. So they don't bring them there, but I have asked, who here is on social media. And if they're not on social media in terms of Facebook or Instagram, they're on other platforms that are gaming platforms that have chat functions. And, there were girls in grade 3 that were playing a game online with their classmates. They'd got each other's handles and they'd added each other. And bullying was happening through that. One girl didn't have the outfits for her characters like everybody. This is not even a made up story. She was saying to me, they all have really nice outfits on their characters, but I can't afford them because you need to have 50 bejewels to get an outfit, and I don't have that, and she took 7 of my bejewels for herself, and this is all happening on a platform that's a game. And these girls are 8, 9, so that's not social media, but it's another element where technology has provided a platform in which young children can interact in that way, which didn't exist for us before. And so my children, and I'm very open about saying, even my teenager, that we don't have phones. She will not have a phone until 16 and above. And that's based on personal reasons, but also at the same time, I feel I've read enough research from, you know, people who, like, I'm not qualified in the neurological field of things or psychology of things, but, you know, the brain just does not have the capacity under 16 to really take note and make a concerted effort to separate fact and fiction and, you know, differentiate between those emotions and whatever's going on, 16 and above. And that is, you know, qualified people are saying that. So that's what I'm following. And I can see, you know, and I've said to my daughter who's a teen, I know we're going way off tangent, but I've said to her, I would rather you be the one that's left out of these things and suffer those detrimental effects versus the detrimental effects of you having that device and being exposed to that whole entire world before 16.
So you think it's something that, like, you can't, it's very difficult to build up enough resilience to combat the weight of all those opinions online?
Yes, which maybe is another reason why these workshops or that age group, that was originally why I chose that age group, because I believed, oh, that's the before. Yeah, that's the before. Though I'm finding out that it's maybe not the before that I thought it was. Which now is making me want to create a program for even younger, so like 5 to 7, and not as heavy or deep or structured, but just in that space where that dialogue begins. The dialogue of collaboration coming together and sisterhood can begin. Just in mini, you know, age appropriate activities, but I haven't yet created it, but that's what I'm hoping, the before, like, but yeah, I do believe that resilience is needed, and I'm seeing that now, you know, in my almost 14-year-old. If she didn't have the tools that she's been, you know, attaining over the last couple of years, I don't know how she would combat. Now, even her closest group of friends, and they're lovely, lovely girls, are starting to get phones for their 13th birthday, 14th birthday, you know, and they're saying things to her like, oh, yeah, we messaged it in the group, you know, or the email, and she's like, oh, well, I don't have access to that, so I didn't know. And that's what I was afraid of, that would happen for her. But because we already preempted that might happen, she has a, you know, like, okay, well, I knew that was going to happen, and I said, your job now is to communicate and say, I don't have that device, so if you are going to create things or events, you need to email my school email or message my mum's phone, or that's how I need to be included.
And so you're creating like resilience and communication for tools and everything as well through these workshops.
Communication is a big one. When we did what we expressed, you know, when you're getting angry or upset, what are your needs? You know, blah, blah, blah. And they wrote them down, and one girl said, I'm going to stick this in the lounge room so that my parents know. You know, and I was like, that's it. That's exactly it. People don't know if they don't know. And you need to communicate that, whether it's with your friends or your parents or your siblings.
I'm going to pause it here before I ask the last question.
Okay, all right.